The state of Florida does not want the Department of Justice to watching over its elections. Now, this follows very credible threats of voter intimidation that was leading up to the midterm elections that are happening today. And so the Department of Justice, in response to this, has mobilized in order and has dispatched agents to different areas, to certain areas to protect voter rights. Now, Florida, like I said, not happy about it. According to CNN, Florida officials had warned the U.S. Justice Department that federal election monitors were not allowed inside polling places under their state law. Oh, yeah, we passed a state law saying that you couldn't do that. And so, guess what? Now you can't do that. In a letter to the DOJ dated on Monday, Florida State of Elections officials argued that federal officials were not included in the list of people allowed inside of polling places. And even if they did qualify, it would be counterproductive and could potentially undermine confidence in the election. Oh, is that? Okay. Yeah. The confidence that is already, again, among Republican voters, very, very low. So much that they're out there filming people and harassing poll workers, election officials, and voters. But apparently, having election monitors to, kind of dissuade that activity, that's what's going to undermine, confidence. Sure. Oh, I get it. Great. Now, the Justice Department had initially announced plans to send election monitors to 24 states. For Florida, that included 3 counties: Broward, Miami-Dade, and Palm Beach. Florida Department of State General Counsel Brad McFay wrote to DOJ in the letter that the department did not detail the need for federal monitors in these counties. Florida Department of State will send its own monitors to the 3 jurisdictions, according to the letter, to ensure that there is no interference with the voting process. Oh, you're just going to send your own guys? Oh, right. Okay. We'll see how that turns out. Hey, you know what? They could be on the level, or maybe they're not. You don't really know. That's the kind of the problem. But Arizona and North Carolina have already illustrated that you do need somebody to watch that isn't some rando. That's part of the Clean Elections USA or whatever True the Vote group that you have on the right wing that basically just shows up to try to scare people away from the polls. Now, we have dozens of cases of voter intimidation already, even people that are getting followed home by strangers after going to the poll places. As I said, let's go to Florida here, back to the Secretary of State, Cord Bird. I cannot believe that's a real name. An appointee of Republican Governor Ron DeSantis, who was running for re-election, but reporters on Tuesday morning that request by the DOJ to go inside polling places was a deviation from years past when the agency had sent monitors to Florida. The DOJ under the former President Donald Trump, for example, sent monitors to 6 Florida counties back in 2020. However, Bird said that they had kept tabs from outside the polling location. Well, this is not to be confrontational in any way, but get the F out. No, it's not part of the letter. He said they sent a letter to the counties asking for permission to be in the polling places. We told them that under state law, that is not permitted. And we asked them to respect state law and that they can go there and do their job. But they have to do that job outside the polling place, where they really can't see anything. Great. That's why the state didn't send a similar letter in 2020 when Trump's DOJ monitored 6 Florida counties. Bird said that there was no change in the policy. But, now we have a Democrat administration where you have Merrick Garland, the Attorney General, DOJ. Suddenly now Florida's got to send this letter. Now, the difference this time, Bird explains, the DOJ wanted to in their initial letter. They wanted to have monitors inside the polling places, Bird said, adding that they can certainly be outside of the polling place. The Justice Department told CNN that it has received the letter but declined to comment, of course. So now look, having federal election monitors, that's not new. It's a practice that until 2013 was done in places that have had instances of voter disenfranchisement, mainly the whole South, where Jim Crow was most prevalent. Now, they had the authority to send those monitors under the Voting Rights Act that was passed in 1965. Now, the department that carries out the monitoring has been neutered by a 2013 court ruling by the Supreme Court that gutted multiple sections of the Voting Rights Act. That means Florida is able to kick them out without a problem. They don't really have the authority to go in there unless they're invited. Broward County Supervisor Joe Scott said that he didn't have an issue with the DOJ monitoring these locations, but was surprised by the state's objection when he saw it on Tuesday morning. Well, of course, because Ron DeSantis is probably going to use this, be like, the Biden administration, they tried to come in and watch our polls to try to intimidate your Republican voters. Hilarious, right? Wow. Now, Scott said after discussing it with DOJ election monitors, they agreed to stay outside the polling locations in that county. We try to work well with the Secretary of State's office, Scott said. The DOJ people were understanding as well. We're not trying to pick a fight. We just told them to get out. Oh, okay. Well, great. Palm Beach, in a statement, the Miami-Dade Supervisor of Elections told CNN the U.S. Department of Justice has no intention of entering polling places in Miami-Dade County. Palm Beach Supervisor of Elections Office spokeswoman Elisa Novoa told CNN the county will be following the guidance provided by the Department of State Divisions of Elections. The DOJ has indicated to us that they will coordinate with the Department of State and will not attempt to enter these locations. Now, Florida is one state. Turns out Missouri also pushed back on plans to have DOJ monitors inside of polling places. In fact, in response to a DOJ letter, Missouri Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft tweeted on Sunday that it would be highly inappropriate for federal agents to violate the law by intimidating Missouri voters at the polls on Election Day. That's what they consider to be intimidation. Again, did another segment where you had insane people, and I can't really, put that any lighter. These are nuts. These people are crazy going around, and at first they were wearing, masks and had guns until they were ordered not to. This happened in Arizona. They had to be ordered by a federal judge to keep at least, 250 feet away if you were going to be armed, away from drop boxes. And then, okay, so they went 300 feet away and had binoculars and watched these people and took photographs and video of their cars, their license plates. One even followed somebody home. I mean, that's insanity. And yet Missouri, they want to say, oh no, it's the monitors that are doing the intimidation. Oh yes. I mean, it's insane. But look, again, these states do have discretion. They're allowed to do that. Under Missouri law, the local election authority is empowered to decide who may be at polling locations. And again, with the Voting Rights Act that has been gutted by the Supreme Court, it's totally fine. The states are allowed to do this. In fact, Cole County Clerk Steve Korsmeyer has rightfully declined to allow this overreach, and the Secretary of State's office fully supports him, wrote Ashcroft. Of course, everything is overreach. I mean, to them, unless it helps them, by the way. If it helps them, then it's totally not overreach. Look, we had credible threats against election workers. We have intimidation by right-wing extremists. You don't see that on the left. And all of that just suggests that having them on hand might not be a bad thing, these election monitors. And that's kind of the whole point, though. That's why these states, in my mind, don't want those election monitors. Intent matters. Intent matters. And I don't believe that, in this case, right-wingers have good intent when it comes to elections. I think that everyone should be able to vote for whoever they want without harassment without being intimidated. And we need to make sure to set up an environment that is safe and will allow this to happen, will allow everyone to feel comfortable casting their ballots.